Hey, it is Troy Stavros with Cornerstone Realty Associates here in Knoxville, and it is time to go over our monthly market update looking at East Tennessee and the Knoxville area. We have all the data in through the end of January, so let's take a look and see how things are looking. Let's start with East Tennessee. Okay, looking at the East Tennessee numbers, we can see that looking at single-family homes comparing January of 2025 to 1 year ago in January of 2024, home sales are up in East Tennessee 1.9%. Pending sales are up 11%. The inventory of homes is up 26.2%, so 26% more inventory on the market now than there was 1 year ago. New listings are up 17.9%. So we are seeing fresh new listings come on the market even in the winter months. The median sales price is up 2.91% compared to a year ago, coming in at $360,193, with the average sold price per square foot in all of East Tennessee coming in at $211 per square foot. The absorption rate, looking at this month compared to last month, so January compared to December, is down. Last month, it was 3.86 months worth of inventory, and in the end of January, it was 3.52 months worth of inventory. So that means that even with inventory up, which would normally push the absorption rate higher, it's actually coming down, which tells us there might still be some decent demand out there for homes. Let's take a look at some of the graphs and see how things are looking on there. Okay, when we look at the graphs here, we can see the number of listings has been trending down ever since November. So it's all year long, it's been trending up until we got to November, and then they started heading down, typical for this time of the season. Listing prices have also been trending up, and then come August, they started trending down. You can see listing prices starting moving their way down. Absorption rate trending up all year until we got to November and then started coming down. The sold to list price ratio, we can see that homes are selling for less than their list price, telling us there's more negotiation happening. And we can see ever since June, the days on the market has been increasing in East Tennessee and is now up at about 55 days on the market for listings. So in regards to all this, the conclusions for all of East Tennessee would be that the market is cooling with a resilience in pricing. The market is transitioning towards balance, as indicated by the rising absorption rate and longer days on the market. There's a slight shift in buyer-seller dynamics. Buyers are gaining more negotiating power, as evidenced by the declining sold-to-list ratio and longer marketing times. And sellers are adjusting their pricing strategies, but the changes remain modest. There's strength in higher value properties. The increase in the average sale price points to strong performance in higher priced homes, even as the market cools overall. There may be slight challenges for sellers. Sellers face increased competition due to rising inventory and longer days on the market. So pricing competitively and ensuring homes are well presented will be essential to attract buyers. As far as opportunities for buyers, buyers have more options and negotiating power. As inventory grows and properties take longer to sell, this is an opportune time to secure favorable terms, particularly in the mid-range segment. And the overall market health, while the market is slowing, it remains healthy and stable. Price adjustments are moderate and the sales prices are increasing, which highlights confidence in the market's long-term value. So recommendations for buyers: leverage the growing inventory and longer days on the market to negotiate better deals. Focus on mid-range and higher value properties where opportunities may be more favorable. As far as sellers, prioritize competitive pricing and invest in property preparation, staging, minor renovations, so you can stand out in a more competitive market and be prepared for longer market times. All right, let's look at Knoxville. So this is everything with a Knoxville, Tennessee address. January of this year compared to January of last year. Home sales were down 2.1%. Pending sales were down 0.4%, so pretty much even. The inventory of homes in Knoxville was up 23.8%. New listings were up 17.7%. The median sales price was down 0.95%. So that's not something we see very often. We'll want to keep an eye on that on a month-to-month basis, but basically even but down just a hair compared to 1 year ago, coming in at $391,250 for the median sales price in Knoxville, with the average sold price per square foot coming in at $225 per square foot, with the absorption rate dropping from 2.11 months worth of inventory last month to just 2.01 months worth of inventory in January. So that still shows us that even with inventory increasing, there is still some demand that is soaking up some of that inventory, lowering the absorption rate. Okay, let's jump over and take a look at some of the graphs for Knoxville. We can see that inventory has increased until it again got to November and then started working its way down, typical for the season. Prices, same as East Tennessee, they capped out in August and then started working their way down. Absorption rate did the same, capped out in November and started working its way down. And we can see the sold to list price ratio is dropping as well, meaning there's more negotiation happening in the marketplace. Days on the market also continued to increase and jumped up to about 42, almost 43 days on the market average. So let's take a look and see what this means as far as conclusions for the Knoxville market. In Knoxville, the market is cooling with signs of stability. While the market remains in seller favorable territory because the absorption rate is below 3 months worth of inventory, the increase in inventory, rising days on the market, and declining list prices all highlight a cooling trend. The market is adjusting, but not in distress, as evidenced by stable sale to list ratios and slight increase in average sale prices. There is a slight shift in buyer-seller dynamics, so buyers are gaining more negotiating power, with sellers accepting lower sales prices relative to their original listings, and homes are taking longer to sell. Inventory growth and declining median list price create opportunities for buyers to find better value. There's strong performance in higher value properties. Because we see the average sale price increasing, that suggests that properties in higher price brackets are performing well despite overall market cooling. Challenges for sellers. Sellers may face increased competition and longer marketing times. Pricing competitively and preparing homes for sale will be critical. As far as opportunities for buyers, buyers should take advantage of increased inventory and slower market turnover to negotiate better deals. However, the market still favors well-priced homes, so competition may persist in certain segments of the market. As far as recommendations for buyers, they should leverage the growing inventory and the longer days on the market to negotiate better terms. Focus on mid-range properties where prices have softened slightly. For sellers, you should price competitively and be prepared for longer marketing times. Highlight the property's strengths through professional marketing and stand out in a growing inventory pool. You have more competition out there, so you have to put your best foot forward. So Knoxville's market is transitioning towards balance, offering opportunities for both buyers and sellers based on their strategies and priorities. All right, let's jump over and take a look and see what's happening in the surrounding counties. Looking at the surrounding counties, January of 2025 versus January of 2024, Roane County available inventory is up 17.6%. Pending sales were up 22.6%, and the median sales price in Roane County was down 3.13% compared to a year ago and coming in at $247,500. This is the third month in a row that the median sales price in Roane County has dropped compared to the year earlier. So we definitely want to still keep a look at what is happening in Roane County and why the prices are moderating more than the other counties, other than Sevier, which we'll see in a minute. Also, the median sold price per square foot in Roane County was down to $160 a square foot. You can see last month when we look at the card on the left, it was at $173 per square foot. So that's dropped quite a bit. So we definitely want to keep an eye on Roane County. But if you're a buyer, you can see that negotiation and deals are happening in Roane County because obviously prices are dropping. So you might be able to get a better deal in Roane County than you can in some of the other counties. And then as far as the conclusions for Roane County, the market is cooling with transitional dynamics. So that means the market's cooling as evidenced by the rising absorption rate, increased days on the market, and declining sales prices. Inventory growth is outpacing buyer demand, which is creating opportunities for buyers, but challenges for sellers. There's diverging pricing trends. While list prices have risen significantly, sales prices have decreased, which indicates a growing gap between seller expectations and buyer behavior. This suggests that buyers are negotiating more effectively and focusing on lower-priced properties in Roane County. There's increased buyer leverage in Roane County. The increase in the days on the market and the declining sold-to-list ratios in Roane County indicate that buyers have more negotiating power. Buyers are taking advantage of the slower market and securing better deals. Challenges for sellers are that sellers face growing competition due to increased inventory and longer marketing times. Pricing realistically and preparing homes for sale will be critical in this cooling market of Roane County. And as far as opportunities for buyers, buyers have more options and negotiating power as inventory grows. This is an opportune time to secure favorable terms, particularly for mid-range and lower-priced properties. There is market resilience, though. Despite cooling indicators, the market remains stable with consistent transaction volume and moderate list price growth. The decline in sales prices suggests a natural adjustment rather than significant downturn. As far as recommendations in Roane County for buyers, leverage the increased inventory and longer days on the market to negotiate better terms. Focus on properties that are priced below the median sales price, where opportunities for affordability are most evident. For sellers, align pricing with market realities to attract buyers in a more competitive environment, and invest in staging, repairs, and updates to stand out in a growing inventory pool. So the Roane County real estate market is undergoing a transition, with key indicators pointing to a shift towards balance. While sellers face increased competition, buyers have more opportunities to find value in the stable and cooling market. All right, let's look at Knox County. Knox County's available inventory is up 24.6%. Pending sales are down 3.9% in Knox County, and the median sales price is up 1.97%, coming in at $392,500, with the median sold price per square foot in Knox County coming in at $223 per square foot. So the conclusions for Knox County are: the market is cooling, but still favorable for sellers. The market is slowing, as evidenced by rising absorption rates and longer days on the market. However, it remains a seller's market given the low absorption rate. Sales prices continue to grow, particularly in the higher value segment, indicating steady demand. There is a divergence between list and sales prices. The decline in list prices and simultaneous increase in sales prices suggests that sellers are becoming more realistic with their pricing, while buyers are willing to pay premiums for well-priced, desirable properties. Buyer negotiating power is increasing. The increase in the days on the market and the declining sold-to-list ratios highlight a growing advantage for buyers in negotiating favorable terms. As far as challenges for sellers, sellers face increased competition as inventory rises, and pricing adjustments are necessary to attract buyers. Longer days on the market require strategic marketing and pricing to ensure quicker sales. What opportunities are there for buyers? Buyers can take advantage of the increasing inventory and slower turnover to negotiate better deals. The stability in sales prices indicates continued value in purchasing, particularly in the mid-range and higher-end segments. There is market resilience, though. Despite cooling trends, the market in Knox County remains strong, supported by steady price appreciation in sales prices and healthy transaction volumes relative to inventory levels. So, recommendations for buyers: leverage the growing inventory and increase days on the market to negotiate better prices and terms, and focus on properties below the median list price where sellers may be more motivated to negotiate. For sellers, recommendations: price competitively and adjust expectations to align with current market conditions. Invest in property preparation, staging, minor repairs so you can stand out in a more competitive environment, and be prepared for longer marketing times and work with agents to implement aggressive marketing strategies. So, Knox County's real estate market is transitioning towards a more balanced state, offering strategic opportunities for both buyers and sellers. While the market is cooling, it continues to show resilience and stability in pricing, making it an attractive location for investment and residential purchases. All right, let's look at Anderson County. Available inventory in Anderson County was down 8.9%. Pending sales were down 5.2%. The median sales price in Anderson County was up 12.69%, coming in at $309,900, with the median sold price per square foot coming in at $183 per square foot. Let's take a look at the conclusions for what we're seeing in Anderson County. The market is cooling but stable. The market is cooling as evidenced by longer days on the market and declining list prices. However, sales prices remain resilient, particularly in the lower to mid-range price segments. There's diverging trends in the list and sales prices. The decline in list prices reflects sellers' increased willingness to price competitively to attract buyers. The increase in sales prices, especially in the median sales price, indicates strong demand for well-priced homes, particularly in the lower to mid-range segments. There's increased buyer leverage, meaning that buyers have more negotiating power due to increased inventory and longer days on the market. This is evidenced by declining sold-to-list price ratios and sellers accepting lower offers. There are some challenges for sellers, so sellers face increased competition and they must price homes carefully to attract interest. There's longer marketing times that require patience and strategic preparation to stand out in the growing inventory pool. The opportunities for buyers have more opportunity and more options with growing inventory and declining list prices, which create favorable conditions for negotiation. The lower and mid-range price segment offers particularly strong value given the significant price corrections in list prices and the robust demand in this range. As far as the overall health of the market, Anderson County's market remains stable despite cooling trends. The adjustments in list prices and longer days on the market reflect a natural rebalancing rather than significant downturn. As far as recommendations for buyers in Anderson County, take advantage of declining list prices and longer times to negotiate favorable terms. Focus on competitively priced properties in the lower to mid-range segments where demand remains strong. As far as sellers, you need to price homes competitively to align with buyer expectations and market conditions. Invest in property preparation, staging, minor updates so you can stand out in a competitive market. Be prepared for longer market times and consider working with an experienced agent to implement effective marketing strategies. Anderson County's real estate market is adjusting with opportunities for both buyers and sellers. While the market cools, the resilience in sales prices and strong demand in affordable segments reflect a stable and healthy market environment. All right, let's look at Loudon County. So Loudon County, available inventory is up 42.9%. Pending sales are up 21.7%. The median sales price in Loudon County is up 21.11%, coming in at $525,000, with the median sold price per square foot in Loudon County coming in at $224 per square foot. Let's take a look at the conclusions on what the data says in Loudon County. So the market is cooling but resilient. The increase in the absorption rate and days on the market, coupled with declining list prices, indicates a cooling market. However, the significant increase in sales prices suggests that demand remains strong for well-priced homes, particularly in the mid-range segment. There is a shift towards a balanced market in Loudon County. The absorption rate, nearing 3.5 months, signals a shift towards a more balanced market where buyers have more negotiating power than they did in early 2024. There's increased buyer leverage. The sharp increase in days on the market and declining sold to original list price ratios suggests that buyers are gaining more leverage in negotiations. Sellers are more likely to accept offers below the original asking price as competition increases. And there's demand for mid-range properties. The rise in median list price and sales prices indicates strong demand in the mid-range price segment as buyers appear to be focusing on affordability and value. There is a challenge for sellers in that growing inventory and longer market times mean that sellers must price competitively and prepare properties to attract buyers. Homes priced above market expectations may linger on the market for extended periods and require price adjustments. As far as opportunities for buyers benefit from increased inventory and longer days in the market, creating opportunities to negotiate better pricing and favorable terms. The mid-range price segment offers particularly strong value with steady list prices and increasing sales prices. As far as recommendations for buyers, take advantage of growing inventory and longer days on the market to negotiate favorable prices and terms. Focus on mid-range properties where demand remains strong, but competition among sellers may provide opportunities for better deals. As far as sellers, you must price homes competitively to align expectations with current market conditions to attract buyers. Invest in staging, marketing, and minor repairs to stand out in a more competitive environment. Be prepared for longer market times and consider flexibility in negotiations to close deals. So Loudon County's real estate market is transitioning with increased inventory and longer market times, signaling a cooling trend. However, the resilience in sales prices, particularly in the mid-range segment, show that demand remains strong, making it an attractive market for buyers, sellers, and investors who adapt to changing conditions. Okay, let's take a look at Sevier County. So, available inventory in Sevier County is up 32.8%. Pending sales are down 21%. The median sales price is down 4.51% and coming in at $540,000, with the median sold price per square foot in Sevier County coming in at $289 per square foot. Okay, so what are our market conclusions for Sevier County? There is a market transition towards balance. The significant increase in absorption rate and growing inventory point to a cooling market transitioning closer to a buyer's market. Homes are taking longer to sell overall, but competitively priced properties continue to move efficiently. Price adjustments are being seen in mid-range properties. The decline in median list price and sales prices reflects sellers' willingness to lower prices to attract buyers, particularly in the mid-range market. Buyers are negotiating more effectively, leading to sharper price reductions. There is softening demand for higher value properties. The decline in the average sale price indicates reduced demand for higher priced homes as buyers may be prioritizing affordability. The opportunity for buyers, there is growing inventory and longer absorption rates, and that provides buyers with more options and stronger negotiating positions. Price reductions in both the list and sales prices make this an opportune time for buyers to find value in the market. Challenges for sellers, increased competition, and a growing buyer's market means sellers need to price homes competitively and prepare properties to appeal to buyers. Patience is required, as longer days on the market are likely for homes priced above the market norm. As far as recommendations for buyers, leverage the shift to a buyer's market to negotiate better pricing and terms. Focus on mid-range properties where price adjustments are most pronounced, offering strong value. For sellers, you should price homes competitively and adjust expectations to align with current market conditions. Invest in staging, minor updates so you can stand out in a more competitive market, and be prepared for longer market times and consider working with an experienced agent to improve marketing strategies. As far as investors go, monitor the mid-range property segment where price reductions are creating opportunities for discounted purchases. Consider long-term investments in Sevier County as the market remains stable despite cooling demand. So Sevier County's real estate market is transitioning to favor buyers, with increased inventory and price correction creating opportunities for both buyers and investors. While demand has softened, the market remains fundamentally healthy, making it attractive for those seeking value in a cooling real estate environment. All right, last county, Blount County, available inventory is up 41.3%. Pending sales are up 41.5%, and the median sales price in Blount County is up 1.26%, coming in at $380,000, with the median sold price per square foot coming in at $222 per square foot. Our market conclusions for Blount County: the market is cooling but stable. The increase in absorption rate and inventory combined with declines in list prices indicates a cooling market. However, the rise in sales prices suggests that demand remains strong for well-priced homes. The market is transitioning closer to balance, but remains in a seller's market due to relatively low absorption rate. There's resilience in the sales prices. Despite declining list prices, sale prices continue to rise, particularly in the higher value segment, indicating strong buyer interest in well-maintained and competitively priced properties. The slight increase in median sales price reflects stable demand in the mid-range market. There's increased buyer leverage. Declining sold-to-list ratios and growing inventory indicate that buyers have more negotiating power than they did a year ago. Homes taking longer to sell, as shown by the increase in the median days on the market, further suggest a shift towards greater balance in the market. The challenges for sellers: sellers are facing increased competition as inventory grows, requiring more strategic pricing and marketing. Properties priced above market expectations may experience longer days on the market and may require price reductions to attract buyers. As far as opportunities for buyers, buyers benefit from increased inventory and slightly longer market times, creating opportunities to negotiate better deals. Price corrections in the mid-range segment make this a favorable time for buyers seeking value. Recommendations: buyers should take advantage of increased inventory and longer days on the market to negotiate better terms. Focus on mid-range properties, where price corrections have created good opportunities for value. Sellers: price homes competitively and align expectations with current market conditions to attract buyers. Prepare homes thoroughly, staging, repairs, so you can stand out in a more competitive environment, and be prepared for longer market times and work with an experienced agent to implement effective marketing strategies. Blount County's market is transitioning, with growing inventory and price corrections indicating a cooling trend. However, the resilience in sales prices shows that demand remains stable, making this an attractive market for both buyers and sellers who adapt to the changing conditions. Okay, so that's a lot of information. So you know what's happening in East Tennessee as a whole. You know what's happening in Knoxville. You know what's happening in each of the surrounding counties. Remember that real estate is local, and not only local, but hyper-local. So something might be happening in one part of Knoxville, and the market may be completely different in another part of Knoxville. So if you have questions about that or any specific part of town, definitely reach out to me, and I'd be happy to give you the specific information on what's happening in your neck of the woods or where you're looking. But overall, we can see that most of the market is cooling right now. Has some to do with the time of year, but yes, the market is cooling. But because inventory is still really low and our absorption rate is really low, there is still demand, so that is keeping prices stable. We are seeing some cooling of prices in some of the markets, like we said, in Roane County and in Sevier County, but overall prices are remaining stable. One thing that we can look at when we're looking at pricing is where is our inventory compared to pre-pandemic? If you've watched previous videos, I've told you if inventory is above where it was pre-pandemic, you can expect prices to be cooling. And if inventory is still well below where it was pre-pandemic, you can expect prices to be stable to even rising more. So when we look at this graphic here, this shows what the active inventory is compared to the pre-pandemic level. So the county shift between January of 2019 and January of 2025. So if we zoom in here to Tennessee and we go over to our counties, Anderson County is still down 40.9% compared to where they were pre-pandemic. So we can see why prices are still increasing at such a fast clip year over year in Anderson County. What about Roane County? Roane County is still down 24% compared to where they were pre-pandemic, although we are seeing prices moderate in Roane County. So we want to keep an eye on that so we can start to learn why that is. Loudon County is actually up 11%. So they have more inventory now than they did pre-pandemic. Knox County is still down 19%. So 19% below where they were inventory-wise in Knox County pre-pandemic, which is why we are seeing stable pricing in Knox County. And then another good example here, Sevier County, they are 89, almost 90% more inventory now than they were pre-pandemic. And that is why we are consistently seeing the pricing moderate in Sevier County. Another thing I wanted to look at here is Zillow's heat market index. So this is looking at the market right now. And this further shows us that what we are seeing in the data is correct and that the market is in a cooling state. This says a higher score indicates a hotter market where sellers have more power. A lower score indicates a colder housing market when it indicates where buyers have more power. So where's Knoxville? Knoxville right now is at a 41. So it is in a cooling phase, which we have just seen going through the data, which means right now there is more opportunity for buyers to negotiate and get a deal. When we look at Sevier County right next to us, they are at a 31. So there's even more ability to negotiate and get a good deal in Sevier County right now. Last thing I wanted to show you here, this is an article by Redfin. It says more than 1/3 of homeowners say they'll never sell. But this is just to go on and say that we're not going to see a huge wave of inventory come on the market. And the reason that prices will remain stable is because inventory will stay low. So let's look at some of the reasons why they say homeowners don't want to sell. So this says more than 1/3 of U.S. homeowners say they'll never sell their home, according to a Redfin survey. 43% of those that said they will never sell their home are baby boomers. As we go down here and we look at the reasons they don't want to sell, so the number one reason that they don't want to sell is my home is completely or almost paid off. 38.6% said that. The second reason they say they don't want to sell is I like my home and its location and I have no reason to move. Third reason, home prices are too high right now. Fourth reason, I don't want to give up on my low mortgage rate. Fifth reason, my children or family members are still living in my home. So these are the top reasons that people are giving as to why they don't want to move and why the article says more than 1/3 of homeowners say they won't sell. So because of these reasons, we may just see inventory stay low for a while. The things that could possibly change, that could bring more inventory on the market, I don't necessarily see home prices coming down, but I don't want to give up my low mortgage rate. We would need to see mortgage rates come down. People that bought a few years ago are locked into interest rates under 3%, under 4%, under 5%. Right now, we're still dealing with interest rates as of today, 7.05%. So there's quite a big disparity between what interest rates are now and what many people are locked into on their interest rate. So you can understand why they might not want to give up a low 3% interest rate to sell their home and buy another one, trading into a 7.05% interest rate. Okay, hopefully that's some stuff to chew on. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to reach out to me. This is Troy Stavros with Cornerstone Realty Associates. Any questions on any part of Knoxville or East Tennessee, just reach out. Happy to give you detailed information that is specific to you. If you're looking to buy a home, give us a call. If you're looking to sell a home, give us a call. If you're looking to do something outside of East Tennessee and you aren't sure who to work with, give us a call there as well. We have a great network of agents all over the country that we would be happy to introduce you to that we know would take great care of you. Have a great day, and we will talk to you soon.